look, we have a big, massive problem that all our families and friends are locked down in Italy, and so we need to even be kind of keep calm, be happy, and try to get the discussion in another topic, or like make it crazy.
Today is Sunday, March the 15th, 2020, and this will be an episode that, unlike most episodes of the Radio Vagabond, probably won't be so relevant if you listen to it in a week, because things happen every single day, sometimes every single hour. And I know that you're probably totally fed up with hearing about the coronavirus. I know I am. But so much is going on in my own situation, and I have so many friends around the world who are in some way or another affected by the situation. So I decided to make a special episode about the pandemic that is so brutal to the world right now. And then I will do whatever I can to keep the Radio Vagabond corona-free, so you also in the future could put on your headphones and travel without leaving the comfort or the quarantine of your home. In this episode, we will hear from an Italian in London.
This make you proud of the way that Italian can afford this kind of crisis.
Another Italian and her Australian husband in Milan.
It's essentially killed it.
Yeah, like we've taken a big hit.
An American in Japan.
It's just been as quiet, like I've never seen it this quiet.
A Dane in Hong Kong.
So yeah, I'm just kind of blocked. I'm keeping my eye on the borders with China because I am seeing that as an option.
A Ghanaian, I think that's what it's called, someone from Ghana, in Berlin.
If we had the situation as in Italy, I'm afraid we are going to have a very big issue.
A Kenyan in Nairobi.
I'm like, wow, what? I don't know. I just don't know what to say because, yeah, it's scary.
And then a French teacher from Mauritius that just a few hours ago returned to China.
I am in Changshu, which is about, I think it's more than 700 kilometers away from Wuhan.
How are things where they are, and how are things where they're from? How are they affected as a traveler or in the jobs they have? And how are they experiencing the whole situation from their point of view? As you can understand, we're literally going far in this episode, and that's why it's going to be a little bit longer than usual. But I hope that you will find it interesting. My name is Palabo, and this is a special Corona pandemic episode of the Radio Vagabond podcast. But let me start by telling you a little bit about my own situation right now. I'm in Cape Town, and Friday afternoon, the Danish government had a press conference. They said that we as Danes should not leave the country unless it was absolutely necessary, and if you are somewhere abroad, you should return as soon as possible. I didn't hear the entire press conference. I only heard this clip, so I didn't get what he said after that, but I'll get back to that. First, I was a little bit confused. I was wondering, is he talking to me? Because yes, I am Danish, and yes, I do have a Danish passport, but I'm not a resident in Denmark. I'm not a resident anywhere. I literally don't have an address, but I am not a resident in Denmark, which also means that I'm not covered by the Danish health system. I probably would be able to get treatment in Denmark with my private insurance, but I might as well do that here. So I sat down and I thought, okay, what now? And 2 minutes later, I made my decision. I'm staying where I am. And there are several reasons for that. First of all, they have good hospitals here. As you might remember from my first episode here from Cape Town, I've been at a South African hospital, and it was a good experience. A concern might be that if the coronavirus hits hard here in the country, where would I be in the line? Would they push me back because I'm not South African? But then again, the Danish health system is also under a lot of pressure, and that might even be worse in the future. So how quickly would I be able to get treatment in Denmark if the whole thing blows up even more? Secondly, I live in a very good place right now. I rented an apartment for 2 months. I live alone. It's a new, beautiful, clean apartment, and I'm not surrounded by a lot of people that might expose me to the virus. And if the worst things happens, I could self-quarantine here. There's even a supermarket in the building. I don't even need to go out on the street. Another thing is that South Africa is not as hard hit by the corona as my home country of Denmark is. Right now there are 827 cases in Denmark and 38 in South Africa. And South Africa is 10 times the population of Denmark. Will these numbers change? I'm pretty sure they will. Is it thinkable that Europe is just earlier in the spreading of the virus and the numbers will stop going up like we've seen in China? And it's only just starting here in South Africa? I don't know, maybe. Is South Africa not as qualified of testing as we are in Denmark? And are the numbers really higher than the 38? I don't know about that, but it's my feeling they're pretty good here. This is a modern country. But I would be lying if I said that I haven't had my doubts until I heard the rest of the press conference on Friday. After what he said, he also said, it's important to say that this is not for the Danes who are living somewhere else. If you have a life abroad, our advice is to pay attention to the recommendations that comes from the local authorities. Later in the press meeting, they also said that this was highly something so Danes wouldn't get stranded abroad. And that's the thing. I don't mind getting stranded here in Cape Town. That's how I feel right now. The 15th of March 2020, I will follow the situation and then I'll take a new decision if that becomes necessary. Okay, let's go around the world. First, we go to London, where Toti is, far away from his family in Italy. You're Italian, you have a lot of family in Italy, but you're based in London, so you're not there, but your thoughts must be there all the time.
Yes. My mind, like Alessia mind, my partner, it's always there. It's kind. We have got the fresh news straight away. How is the life? More than the laws and the restrictions, is the life how it's going. And sometimes it's a bit depressing to listen. People, okay, this is day 4 in prison.
Yeah.
They know that it's for their health, and but the mental health is what we are more worrying about.
Mm. So tell me about your family in Italy. Where in Italy are they based?
My family is based in the southern Italy and is Naples.
Mm-hmm.
Napoli, yeah. They got locked down just, this is the 4th day I will think about. It's the 4th days for them, and they will face 14 days of lockdown inside. But what the institution are expecting is to be even over those 14 days and going, they will expect to open on the 3rd of April, but they are expecting even more than that.
Yeah. I was actually supposed to go to Sicily for T-Bex, but that got cancelled, and I was thinking about going anyway since I had a flight there, and I thought, yeah, I've never been to Sicily, and it's the southern part is fairly safe now, and then I'm so glad I didn't go, because then I would probably not be able to leave and just be there, which is not probably the place I want to be right now.
Look, what my mom was saying this morning was that everything is happening hours by hours. Everything is going to change hours by hours. And they were not locked down 4 days ago. And before they were saying everything was under control, everything was fine. And after day by day, they were more locked down inside, more restrictions were made. Like until 2 days ago, they could get out of the house without any problem until 6 p.m. And from that on, everything was locked. Even everybody was at home. Now they don't have this freeless anymore. They can be out just one by one and just for necessary things like pharmacy or supermarkets. That's it. Nothing more.
And it's the whole of Naples. They're all in lockdown.
All the southern Italy. All the southern Italy is like that. But Campania, the region, is one of the more restricted area right now. The governor of the Campania region make this restriction really hardly on them. So restricting all the public space and no more than 3 people for each shop. Like pharmacy, they can go just inside 3 with 1.5 meters the distance between. Taking the numbers outside, don't get assembled. Bars and public space completely closed. It's real, and there are policemen going all around the cities. And the difference between a normal restriction and this one is that if they caught you in the middle of the streets without any apparently reason, you can not just get fined, but you get in prison.
How do you feel being outside of Italy? Are you happy that you're in London, or would you rather be with your family?
To be honest, it's you. This is really a hard question to reply because the answer there is no answer on that. Rather, I will be in Italy with our families because to support them. But I'm not neither happy to be in UK where there are no restrictions at all. I cannot think that states that are all around Europe are restricted that much. Like I was in Berlin until a few days ago and flew in London back just before the lockdown. And here in London, the only things that they can say is wash your hands.
Yeah.
I don't understand if it's a really danger or it's or the other states are too worried about. I really don't get which one is the matters. I'm living a nightmare with my family in Italy, but I'm living a nightmare in UK that I don't know who have the right solution for that.
That's right. I just somebody sent me a video this morning of a small neighborhood in Italy where all the people came out on their balconies with musical instruments and started making a concert from balcony to balcony. And for me, that was just so nice to see in these times that even with the whole lockdown of most parts of Italy, they could still be Italian.
Yeah. This is amazing. We are watching that as well because this is like they are doing direct on Facebook, Instagram about that. My family is showing me that as well. They going on the balcony, and Italy has got small streets from one balcony to another balcony. There are kind of 2-3 meters different. So it's southern Italy. It's really like that because it's overpopulated. Especially in Naples. So what they are doing is organizing the day of the music, the day of the games. They are playing from balcony to balcony. They are talking from balcony to balcony, and this is make you proud of the way that Italian can afford this kind of crisis. And it's something that makes you laugh, even if it's really dangerous. And it makes you smile a bit, even if it's not the right time to smile.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope to see you soon when all of this is blown over. And
we will laugh about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. From an Italian in London, we go right to where the coronavirus is mostly present in Europe, northern Italy. But first, let me just mention that Toti has an award-winning travel blog with his girlfriend, Alicia. It's called Italian Trip Abroad. Another travel blog run by a couple is The Crowded Planet. You might remember them from my interview episode. It was number 122. It's run by Australian Nick and Italian Margherita.
How are you?
I am good. I'm more concerned about you guys.
Well, I think as long as we stay indoors, we're gonna be safe. So that's fine.
So you're in Milan right now.
That's right, yes.
I just spoke to Toti, who's from Napoli, and he's or Naples. He's in London right now, and the situation there in Naples is also, so he's concerned about his family. But the whole thing, really, for Europe's concern, started in northern Italy, and that is exactly where you are. So you're right in the middle of it.
That's it, yes.
Could you describe life there?
Well, let's start by saying that when the first cases were discovered here in Italy, we were in the US. So we missed, let's say, the first part of this emergency. And then, so I think when the first cases were discovered just a few, I think about 50 kilometers from here, these cities were closed off. So they started their quarantine over 2 weeks ago now. And then I think the life went on pretty much the same as always in the rest of the region and in the rest of Italy. I think the only thing that was introduced was that schools were closed. Then a couple of weeks later, cases, there were like more and more new cases. And so I think as of last Saturday, they decided to put, first our region Lombardia and then the rest of Italy in lockdown. So basically, as it is now, you are not allowed to leave, like you're not allowed to leave your home, except for, I think there's 3 reasons, which are work reasons, because, not all businesses have closed, most yes, but not all. The second reason is health reasons, and the third is necessities. And now, what is meant by necessity, of course, is very vague, because some people are like, can I go for a run? Can I go for a walk just to, get some fresh air? Can I go visit my friends? And but basically, let's say the bottom line is that everybody should stay indoors as much as possible.
What's that doing to a person? Are you getting stir crazy, looking at the same walls all the time?
Well, I think we are lucky because we live, our apartment is quite big. And we also have another, my family also owns another apartment in the same building. So, of course, we can go there if we want, because we're not leaving the building. And so, yeah, I think so far it's fine, but it's going to be for weeks. So we've got 3 more to go, if not more.
You obviously travel a lot. You're a full-time travel blogger doing the Crowded Planet, and you were in the US. You say, would you have, looking back, would you have wished that you'd stayed in the US?
No, I think. I don't know about Nick, but I'm happy.
I'm glad we made it back.
Yeah. First, because here I trust our healthcare system here. And I think, it's really overwhelmed right now, but they are doing what they can. And second, because I'm happy, my family, there's elderly people in my family, and I want to be close to them.
What about you, Nick? Being Australian, you're far away from home.
I am, but thanks to the internet, it's easy to contact family, make sure everyone's okay. Although I was trying to get my Australian family to explain to me this obsession with the hoarding of toilet paper. It's bizarre.
It is bizarre. I don't get it. It's all over. It's also in my home country. People are going nuts with the toilet paper, and I know the US as well. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I've had my Italian family asking me to explain it to them, and
nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
No. I'm also wondering, because being a travel blogger, that's your full-time job, and obviously you can't travel right now. What is the whole situation doing to your personal income?
It's essentially killed it.
Yeah, we've taken a big hit, I think, like most people. because all the passive income that we built through the blog, meaning our affiliate income, our display advertising income, because people are not really searching travel advice right now, especially because we don't know how long this emergency is gonna last. So yeah, that's been reduced dramatically, and it keeps going down because at first it was, let's say, mostly Italy focused, because we've got like a lot of Italian content, so we started taking a hit pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's also the rest of the content we have, like content about America, content about other European countries that are facing a surge in coronavirus cases. And so we are prepared to take a hit for a few months. And then once, because when this is over, people are going to start traveling again.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it means we just have to wait for the storm to pass.
Yeah. How do you deal with shopping?
Well, you can go out to go shopping. We are trying to shop not in supermarkets, but in small stores that we've got here in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them are still open, also because people are going to the supermarkets less and less and go to these instead. So yeah, like in the morning we go get bread. If we had some, like, quite a lot of food at home. And yeah, basically when we need something, we go out and get it. Trying not to go out, every day, but maybe once every few days. You have to queue outside the shops now because they only allow a limited amount of people to be in at the same time. But that's not a big deal.
Do you feel like you're moving together, feeling a closeness with your countrymen?
I think, because what's happened here is that because we are like literally in the eye of the storm, everybody is aware of how dangerous this is. And you're not going to find anyone that disagrees with lockdown. I think everybody supports it. Then, of course, you're always going to have some people that are going to behave irresponsibly. But, to their defense, at first, when I say at first, I'm talking about like 1 week, let's say last weekend, it was very unclear what we had and what we couldn't do, like what was allowed and what was not allowed. But you'll find that generally speaking, like throughout this week, I've been posting on my social media, like trying to tell people, what we are going through and how bad the situation is getting. Because literally, hospitals are full, and they're getting, like, every day there's more and more cases of people that need oxygen, they need care, and so on. So I've been trying to post on social media, like tell people from abroad, international friends about that. And many of them were like, but it's not that bad. This is just drama. You're just making, you're just spreading panic. And the thing that, like, at least makes me happy is that here everybody is aware of what we are going on. Everybody knows that these measures are necessary, and everybody supports them, like, deeply.
Yeah. Are you affected? Do you know anyone in your family or your friends that have been infected?
We don't know for sure, but probably my sister's best friend, her parents got it last week. The fact is that we don't know for sure is because, the healthcare system is so overwhelmed that they only test people that are in a really bad way right now.
Yeah.
So this guy, like my friend's parents, they are in their 60s. They got symptoms that were consistent with coronavirus, so high fever, cough, bone, like, aches and pains and stuff like that. And they called the number that you're supposed to call when you suspect you've got it, and they were told to call back in 3 days if the fever hadn't gone down.
Oh.
Their fever did go down after 3 days.
Okay.
So these, let's say, are the closest people to me.
Yeah.
To us that have got it.
Yeah. I wish you guys all the best, and hope to see you soon when all of this is blown over. And my thought goes out to you and the whole region.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we look forward to meeting you again in better
Somewhere,
times.
yes.
Somewhere.
Our first trip after this is gonna be the best ever.
Yeah.
Even if we go to the center and that's it, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, just to go into the middle of town and see other people would be great.
Yes.
Just seeing people. Yeah. So now I'm in Cape Town, and I like it here, and it feels quite safe right now. And but you never know what's going to happen in an hour. Things change all the time.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm here, and I have no plans of returning to Europe anytime soon. So if I get stuck here, it's not a bad place.
I was just about to say that. There's worse places to be stuck than Cape Town.
No, and I mean, because last week I was telling people not to travel, but what I was meaning, I wasn't meaning don't go back to your home country and stay there. I meant just stay somewhere where you can be safe. Just don't go out, telling people not to go out in crowds as if nothing was up, because, here, the time that passed between the first case being discovered and full lockdown was 2 weeks. So that's the scary part, that this thing is really quick. But, I understand that for some people, going back to their home country is not an option, because maybe they don't have a place anymore. Maybe they're not entitled to healthcare anymore. So in that case, it makes total sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking your time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And from Milan, we go to another part of the world, Japan, where we have Becky Gillespie, who's an American with a big heart for Japan. And you're back in your second home country of Japan. Becky, what are things like there?
Oh, well, things have been so quiet here, Pale. I've actually been in Kyoto, Japan for the last month. And I've been in an Airbnb that I had booked back in December. And I thought I was coming, right before all the tourists would arrive for cherry blossom season here. But it's just been as quiet. I've never seen it this quiet. It probably not since I was here in 2005, before it was common for Chinese tourists to be in Kyoto, because these days apparently it's just full of tourists everywhere in Kyoto. But it's been like a ghost town at some of the temples. And surprisingly, all the temples that I've encountered here this past month have remained open. They seemed to have started closing museums and big amusement parks from the beginning of March. And they are still closed.
Yeah, let's just do a status on Japan. Obviously, there are cases, 725 as of this recording, 21 deaths, and 118 recovered. These numbers are going to change, obviously. So when you hear this, it might be totally different. But if with a country of Japan's size, so many millions of people, these numbers are not super scary, are they?
Not as scary as I think some of the countries we've been hearing about, but Japan does have a very large elderly population, and it is quite a populous, a densely populated country in some cities. As we know, Tokyo is the most densely populated city in the world. So these are the concerns that Tokyo has. Also, Japan traditionally has a very face-to-face culture when it comes to business. And so they have been very slow to think about remote work for their employees. And so this is just something unprecedented for them.
Yeah. You and I met on the Nomad cruise, and there was supposed to be another cruise in next month, and obviously that's been canceled. But is this doing anything for your travel plans? Because it was also the plan that we should go to Africa Burn together, and that's also been canceled. Do you still plan on coming to Cape Town?
I would like to. I'm still monitoring the situation. I don't know how much things are going to change in Japan. It seems like it was the second country that was really getting a lot of press after China when everything started to spread. But I know that at the moment I can still go to South Korea coming from Japan.
Really?
But I don't know if that's going to change. Yeah, from what I heard, I was just going to have to declare. I don't even know with South Africa. Some of the lists I was looking at, I couldn't find the exact information as of yesterday. I would say, though, there's only a 10% chance that I'll be able to still go to Cape Town when I wanted to at this point, which was the beginning of April.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I get the feeling that Japan is such a modern and advanced and healthy country. Is it just my sense that it's not the worst place to get stranded?
It's actually not the worst place. Every supermarket I've gone to in this last month has been full of food. The only thing that you haven't been able to find are masks and any kind of hand sanitizer wipes for your hands. But
please don't say toilet paper.
There's plenty of toilet paper here. Come on over to get your toilet paper.
I just spoke to Nick and Margherita from Milan, and the Italians are so confused why people in other countries are hoarding toilet paper. They just don't get it.
Yeah, we don't get it here either. There's so many different colors and varieties. Right, like a 3-minute walk from here. I can go pick it up. So that has not been a concern. And I don't get it either. The other thing here is that it's a traditionally very clean culture here. Like, people wear masks anyway.
Exactly.
Every winter when they are sick. So it's like that doesn't feel strange in Japan for other people to be wearing masks. So, and also just from other natural disasters that have happened in Japan before, they don't loot here. There's no vandalism when there's big scale crises that are occurring. So that's not something to worry about here, which is great.
How do you feel about being so far away from your family in America?
I feel more concerned for them because just from what I'm reading in the media, it seems that the U.S. has hit a fever pitch in terms of, like you said, hoarding things, toilet paper, freaking out. And just the healthcare situation there is so disorganized and dire and expensive that I'm more worried for my family members there. I did live in Japan for 12 years, so far away from them. So this is almost normal. It's almost like I'm back home and they're like, oh, how are you doing? They are checking up on me, but they kind of think it's better for me to be here than to even attempt to go back to the US and be with them right now.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you so much, Becky. I'm a bit bummed that you probably won't come to Cape Town, so I'll see you. But I am sure that I'll get to see you sometime soon.
Thank you. I really look forward to meeting up with you again. And please take care of yourself in Cape Town as well.
I will. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Becky Gillespie has a podcast called School of Travels. And I had an interview with Becky recently. It was episode 146. Stick around, there's a lot more coming in this episode. You can hear about the situation in both Berlin and Ghana from Bill. He's from Ghana, but he lives and works in Germany. We're also going to Nairobi, Kenya, where we meet Monica, and we hear about the situation in the country and all the challenges that follows by a pandemic where the tourists stay away. And then we're going to meet Nadine. She's a French teacher from Mauritius, and just a few hours ago, she came back to where she lives and works, China. But first, Danish Tor. He's an extreme traveler, stranded in Hong Kong. And now we turn to Hong Kong, where a fellow countryman, Torbjørn Pedersen, is on a quest to visit every single country in the world in one unbroken journey without flying. And Tor, you're in Hong Kong, and it was definitely not your plan to be there this long.
Yeah.
What's going on?
That's right. Well, I arrived to Hong Kong about 7 weeks ago. I was supposed to transition between two ships and be here for about 4 days. Then the first thing which happened was Chinese New Year, which delayed the ship 1 week. And within that week, everything sort of fell apart with the virus outbreak. So I've been stuck here now for 7 weeks.
Well, Hong Kong is officially a part of China, but not mainland China. And it's located south of China with the only two borders is to the ocean and then China in the north. And going to China right now is not an option for you, and you can't get on a plane because that's part of your quest. So the only option basically is to get on a ship, and that's not easy either.
No, it's been quite complicated. A lot of these ships are only taking essential personnel on board, and even the ships, they're having complications with crew changes, that the crew cannot leave it's in certain countries, certain ports, and so on. So it's really complicated these days, and everyone's really careful. So, yeah, I'm just kind of blocked. I'm keeping my eye on the borders with China because I am seeing that as an option. But, who knows where it's going to flare up next.
For listeners who don't know you, I mentioned it briefly, but tell me a little bit about this quest you're on. When did you leave Denmark, and how's it going?
Yeah, well, it's easy to answer when I left Denmark. I left Denmark in the 10th of October 2013, when I was 34 years old. And here I am, I'm now 41 years old, and I haven't been home in all that time.
Yeah. And it's all over land. And I remember I started following the saga, that you call it, when you were traveling through Africa, which has around 25% of all the countries in the world. And I'd been traveling a bit in Africa, and it's hard. It's straining, and it's challenging. And just imagine you've been traveling in Africa for 2 years through every single country, and some of them quite hard to get into.
Yeah.
But that was just a small part of it, and for me that was insane already.
Yeah, well, yeah, also Africa is my favorite continent. I think it's an amazing place, and I've had some amazing experiences there, but I also had some of the hardest experiences in my entire life within Africa, and some of these experiences so hard it almost made me quit the project and go home. But it took me 2 years and 3 months to accomplish the entire continent. It's a big continent.
Yeah, it's huge. It is so big. Yeah. From there, you started on Asia, where you're still now.
Yeah, I kind of went. I went from Africa, then back into Europe, and did Eastern Europe, and then I made my way through Middle East, which is Asia, of course, and then across the rest of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done 194 countries from the targeted 203. It's a bit more than the United Nations list of 193, but there are some of these countries out there that are debatable, and they've been included. If you do something like this, you'd rather go with a high number than a low one.
Yeah. And which are the countries that you still have to go to?
I've got 5 of them are small island nations in the Pacific. So you've got Palau and Tuvalu and Vanuatu and Samoa and Tonga. And then the last 4 were supposed to be New Zealand, Australia, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives.
Yeah. The plan is to end up in the Maldives, and I've been meaning to do a full episode, maybe even more episodes with your journey, because you have so many crazy stories. But I always want to do them in person, so it's my plan to see if I can make it to the Maldives as you set foot on land for the last time.
Yeah, no, hopefully not for the last time, because I also need to get home from the Maldives.
Yeah, and the rule is that you have to go overland back to Denmark?
I'd say it's up to me if I want to go home over land and sea, or if I'd say where the heck is the airport and get home as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But it is my intention to stay true to the project, and in that case I'd go home over land and sea.
But the whole thing's been delayed by our dear friend Corona. It was your plan to be done in October of this year, September?
Yeah, so the COVID-19 outbreak just got in between, and I was hoping that I could complete this year, but those plans are long gone. It will be 2021 sometime for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tor, for taking the time to talk to me.
It was a real pleasure. I'll see you in the Maldives.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
And now we go to Berlin. On the other end of the line, I have Bill Osei Akomea. And that name kind of indicates that you're not German.
Yes. I'm from Ghana in West Africa. Yes.
You're from Ghana, but you live in Berlin.
Yes, I live in Berlin for the past 2.5 years.
We met in Berlin recently at the ITB that never happened, and you're in the travel industry as well. You do a few different things. Can you please tell me a little bit more about what it is that you do?
Okay, so yeah, you're right. We met at ITB. I have a travel company in Ghana, and that is into inbound and outbound tours. Professionally, I'm a lawyer, and so I combine that, and that's why I'm in Germany.
And you also co-founded a grassroots organization in Ghana, helping the children, the unprivileged children of Ghana, called Plight of the Child International.
Exactly. That is an organization that has existed for about 10 years, and we do a lot of things for children, but mainly based in rural areas. We have libraries that give children access to books. We have scholarship programs that sponsors children. One of our beneficiaries is a teacher in his community. We sponsored him through his teacher training. One is in the university, is almost graduating. Yeah, so we try to do a lot to support children who are underprivileged in Ghana.
So we're here to talk about the coronavirus, and when I look at the world map, there are only, I think, 3 confirmed cases in Ghana right now. So it's not affecting Ghana on paper. Do you think that these numbers are higher, and it's just because people are not being tested in Ghana?
Well, I think it's probably going to be higher than 3, but not as high as we hear from the countries in the developed world, because as I read, the virus cannot survive under the weather conditions in hot countries like Africa. But for sure, I think that there might also be a problem with also testing, because we actually discovered these 3 cases just 3 days ago. So it's possible that if we conducted more tests, we would find other people who also have the disease. But I believe it wouldn't be that higher as we hear from other countries in the developed world.
But there's the theory that the virus doesn't live as well in the warm climate, and you're very close to, or Ghana is very close to the equator, so it's very hot there on a normal day, and that might help, you think?
Yes. I mean, if what scientists tells us is true, then I believe that is the case, because of the weather conditions in Ghana. I mean, it's all year round it's hot. It's not like in Berlin as I am here. And if that is true, I think that even if the virus is going to spread, it's not going to spread as fast as we hear in other countries. And I also believe the recovery rate is also going to be higher, because from what I read, usually people that are very old, about 50, are the worst affected. And that if you look at the population of Ghana, also most of the people are youth. I think that is also an advantage when it comes to this virus. I believe the age factor, the weather conditions, these are factors that is going to affect the spread in a negative way. But then if we were to look at the living conditions, I mean, how crowded people are in Ghana. I mean, in Ghana, people are so much attached to each other in public transport, in daily lives, in the way we live. That looks a bit scary. I mean, if we consider how the virus is transferred. I mean,
yeah.
So that is also another issue.
Yeah, I've heard people say that if it comes to Africa, many African countries in a big scale, it's gonna be bad.
Yes, it's gonna be bad. I mean, it's gonna be bad
because a lot of the governments are not ready to cope with a massive scale. Like if it was like Italy in some of the African countries, it would be.
If we had the situation as in Italy, I'm afraid we are going to have a very big issue, because already our hospitals are choked. The doctor to patient ratio, it's very high, and if we have to experience this, I'm even told in Italy with the better healthcare system, their healthcare system has been strained by this virus. So not to talk of Africa, where we already have an issue with the health system. I mean, there are always no beds, and the doctors are very few. And not to talk about road access to hospitals. There are villages without doctors. Nurses are the ones taking over. Even nurses are not that many. I think these factors make it scary if we experience that high number of infections as is in other countries. And these are things that makes me worried even as I'm here in Berlin.
Yeah, and talking about Berlin, when I was there just, I think it was a week and a half ago, it seemed very, very normal. It seemed like business as usual. Has things changed in Germany? Because I know that Germany has been a lot of confirmed cases. Is it different now?
Yes.
Compared to when I was there just a few weeks ago?
Yes, it's different now. I mean, today I was supposed to go to church, but I got a message yesterday that it's going to be cancelled because there has been information that we should avoid gathering of a number of persons. And from tomorrow, I'm told all schools and universities are going to be closed. I mean, yesterday I went to town and I saw a very big difference. A few people are in the trains, in the shops. We find that people are rushing to buy food because they're anticipating that very soon movements are going to be restricted. So yes, there's been a lot of changes, and I expect more changes because watching the news, the figures keep rising. I think there are a lot of people being affected every day. So I am very sure that the coming days things are going to change. But the problem is also the fear, When you see these figures, it's also very scary, and it makes you feel uncomfortable because they tell you to wash your hands, they tell you to avoid contact with persons, but these are things that are very difficult to do, and sometimes you are not sure how many times you wash your hands, So this is very scary. That even the disease itself.
And when it comes to the whole thing about washing your hands and using sanitizer, if we look at Ghana, do you think that's something that people would do if the government said you got to wash your hands, you got to avoid contact, or would they? Is the mentality of the people of Ghana is that more like it's not so bad?
Well, I spoke to a number of persons. I mean, my friends called me and they tell me, I mean, normally Ghanaians will not take things of this nature serious, especially they tell me when this case started in China, they thought, well, China is very far away, so people didn't care that much. But now, especially the few days when the confirmed cases, came out, people are very, very, very careful. They are strictly abiding by these instructions. And people are really taking this serious. That's the information that I get from people that I've spoken to. But then another challenge is the avoidance of contact. I mean, unless there is a public ban of transportation, I think this will be very difficult because most people use the public transport, and that is not as we find in Berlin. These are minibuses with a lot of people in it. Our markets are very full of people. And even the issue of washing of hands, there are a lot of communities in villages without proper water. Tap water, flowing of water. So access to water is going to be a challenge for some communities. The only advantage in those communities is that these are in villages that I'm very sure has a low rates of having people from these infected countries visiting them. But then if we are to use the directive of washing of hands, they are going to have a problem. Access to water is a big challenge to some communities, even the soap. Not to talk of sanitizers. For villages, they don't know anything about sanitizers. So it's going to be just the water and the soap. Yeah.
Okay, Bill, thank you so much. I have not been to Ghana yet, and when all of this is blown over, it's very high on my list. And I want to, at that point, when I visit your country, I want to know much more about Plight of the Child, because I think the work that you do in that organization is super, super cool. So let's stay in touch, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, and I'll be glad to host you, or I'll be glad that you visit my country. There are a lot of there are a lot of things that you love about us Ghanaians, and I'll also be happy to have you in my organization. Yeah, we're trying our best to help children in rural areas, and I hope that we can extend that to other countries in Africa.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
And now we go to Nairobi, Kenya, and I have Monica on the line. Monica, please help me say your last name. Mzungu.
Mzungu, yeah.
Yeah, I was spot on.
Yes.
So, what is the situation in Kenya?
The situation in Kenya, from the news, we were told that there's one person that was found with coronavirus. So it's bringing tension to the country. And I think they're trying to do a lockdown in the country. And government is taking control of that.
Yeah, because there are not so many confirmed cases in Kenya. Do you think that's because of the climate, or do you think it's because people are not getting tested?
Both. I'll say it's because of climate, and also people are not getting tested. That one, I can also say that as well.
But you feel that the government is taking control. Do you feel confident that they will manage a situation if the worst thing happens and it becomes a big scale thing in Kenya?
Yeah, I'm confident with the government because according to the news, they are very alert, and they've given us hotline numbers just in case you have signs. You can call the numbers, and they will act very quickly.
I've never been to Kenya yet. It was my plan to go there in a few months. So I don't really know what the country's like in terms of cleaning your hands and using hand sanitizer and avoiding too much contact. Is that part of the Kenyan culture, or is it something that will be difficult?
Shaking hands is part of Kenyan culture, but right now the government is trying to educate all citizens that they're not supposed to shake hands, use sanitizers. So they're trying to mobilize all public places to have sanitizers, and also in public matatus. Most Kenyans use matatu as public means.
What is that?
Matatu is a public means of transport in Kenya.
Small minibuses or something like that?
Exactly.
And people are close and very crammed in those.
Exactly. So the government is trying to educate also all the citizens that whenever they get into matatu, they should try to sanitize their hands so that to try to avoid all these coronavirus disease. Yeah.
What goes through your mind? And you've just been to Europe. Were you thinking, did I bring something home, or what are you thinking with the whole situation, Monica?
Yeah, it's scary, and also I don't know. I'm in mixed of let's say tension. At the same time, I'm like, wow, what I don't know. I just don't know what to say because I was in Europe last week.
Yeah.
But for now, I haven't coughed yet. I haven't had fever. I haven't had anything. So I just don't know.
No, I feel like I'm in a bad dream and that I'll wake up if tomorrow and if the whole thing was just a bad dream.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna happen. You have a travel agency and you work in the travel industry, so I guess this is affecting your bread and butter as well.
It's really affecting so much because last week I just got 3 cancellations, which really affected us as the office and the travel agent. I had a group coming from UK. They had an event, a conference event next week on 16th. So it was cancelled. That was a big blow to our company. And also we had guests coming for safari, and they also cancelled. It's a big blow to us. It's a big blow. It's really affected us as a country and as a company. It's a very big blow.
Yeah, because the country itself is also very dependent on tourists coming in.
Yeah.
So if that can that can be really, really hard for both you and for the country and many countries in Africa.
True.
Many countries all over the world, actually.
Very true.
Monica, I wish you all the best and hope to see you when I finally get to Kenya. And we will definitely shake hands and give each other a hug, right?
Right. Let's pray that this thing is going to be controlled and we'll be back to normal life where we can be able to travel, to market, and to do many things. We're just praying that all will be well. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
As we all know, the coronavirus started in China and is still affecting the country very much. So who would go back to China right now? Especially if you're not Chinese. Well, Nadine would. And just a few hours ago, here today, Sunday, she came back to the place that she's called home for the last couple of years. So, Nadine, you're from Mauritius. You've lived in Egypt for a long time. You lived in China for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you were out of the country when the corona outbreak went crazy. And now, just a few hours ago, you are back in China.
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Well, I am used to living here now, and because the coronavirus now obviously is not going to be contained in China. It's almost everywhere, and it's been more or less proven that it's just like a big cold that you have or the flu. So I was like, why not go back? And here I am.
But there was no problem getting a flight back to China? There was no issue with that?
There was. That's why I went to Bali for the Chinese New Year break, and I was supposed to stay for 2 weeks. I ended up staying more than 6 weeks. I just returned to China today, and that was one of the main reasons, because there was no flight. And my initial flight was through Hong Kong, but then Hong Kong canceled the flights to Indonesia, and the school finally managed to get me a flight for today, and I had to stop over in Kuala Lumpur. So that's why I stayed so long. Yeah.
Where are you in China? Please don't say Wuhan.
No. No, I'm in a small town. I mean, small by Chinese standards.
Yeah, just a couple of million people.
Yeah, and I am in Changshu, which is the textile city of China, I will say. And it's about, I think it's more than 700 kilometers away from Wuhan.
Yeah. So you don't feel unsafe there right now?
No, not at all, because I live on a campus as well. I'm a teacher. I live on campus, and for the moment the campus is closed. There are, I think, around 10 teachers living on that campus for the moment. Most of the others are still out in Europe, in Australia, everywhere, and obviously it's becoming more and more difficult for people to come back now that the virus is spreading. Yeah, but the school is safe, and I arrived today. The school had prepared a small pack with sanitary products and with masks, disinfectant, and they even went grocery shopping for me, so I felt really welcome.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Did you consult with them before deciding to head back?
Yes, I did. We've been having online lessons, distance learning for this was our 4th week, and we were always in contact with the school. The principal is on campus. He came back as soon as the coronavirus outbreak started. So he's been telling us that actually the campus is our home. I've been living here for 2 years now, and at some point in Bali I was just tired and I wanted to be back in my things, in my bed, and just be home.
Yeah, you missed your home. I remember because we met in Bali, and you also said it at that point that you were expecting a small break, and now you ended up staying so long, and you missed your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I really did.
Let's talk a little bit about Bali, because I left before you. Was there any change in the perception of, is the coronavirus in Bali? Because there was a big debate when I was there. Is it here? Because normally a lot of Chinese would be there, 5,000 in a day, but they canceled all the Chinese tours. But so many people said, oh, it's already here. It's just because they don't do test or keep it quiet, because that's going to hurt the country. Was there any talk about corona in Bali after I left?
Not really in Bali, but I noticed when going to the airport today that the procedures had changed. So I was asked a lot of questions. Why am I going to China and things like this? And they took my temperature as well, which I didn't have, because just before you left, I went to Malaysia to visit my son. And when I left Bali, that was around the 20th of February, there was no procedure in place. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. Some people were wearing a mask at the airport, but not the workers there. So today when I arrived there, everyone was with a mask, especially the people working there. And, we went through all the process that I just told you.
Yeah, and I know that China is your home right now, and you haven't lived in Mauritius for a long time. But was there a small part of you thinking, hey, maybe I should go to Mauritius?
I don't know. I think when you've been used to living away for so long, you know that there are specific moments when you'll go back. I mean, now I'm starting to be a bit worried about Mauritius, because they did not close their frontiers soon enough, and I'm sure there must be people. It is a very touristy place, so I'm sure there must be people there who already have the virus. So, and we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the technical medical know-how to deal with an epidemic. So this makes me a bit worried for my people there.
Yeah.
But
obviously.
Yeah, I know that I can go for Christmas. I can go during the summer holidays. So yeah.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Mauritius is a small island paradise off the eastern coast of Africa, on the other side of Madagascar. So it's far away from everything, and it's. I have not been there yet, but you told me that you were not impressed by the beaches in Bali because you're used to the most beautiful beaches in Mauritius.
Yeah,
you're kind of spoiled there. So
I am.
It's a tiny country. How many people live in Mauritius?
We have around 1.2 million people living in Mauritius.
Yeah.
We also have many of the Mauritians who are abroad. Many people are in Australia, in Europe, Canada,
and China.
And a few in China. But yes, I am spoiled, because I remember during the whole time I was in Bali, I was like, oh my God, the sand is like black. Why is it black? The sand on my island is like so white. It's so clean.
It's a good thing that we remember to laugh in this situation, and I know that you're dead tired. It's getting late at night where you are in China, and you've been traveling all day. So I don't want to take any more of your time, Nadine. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I told you this would be a long episode. Thank you for still being here. I hope you found it interesting. This special episode also means that there won't be an episode from Cape Town here tomorrow, where I visit an orphanage and meet the German Florian who runs the place. That will probably be in a week's time. But I can promise you that there will be another interview episode. It's with American Jason Moore. He lives in Norway and does a great travel podcast called Zero to Travel. I'm a guest on his show and he's a guest on my show, and that's in a few days on Tuesday. Unless something crazy happens about the coronavirus, I will do my best to keep the Radio Vagabond corona-free again. And I'm so looking forward to that. My name is Palle Bo. See ya.